It's been a while since I've done this, but I'm honestly so excited to bring back the shade. Hello and welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. My name is Silke and today I will be comparing some UK and US covers and telling you which one I prefer. So it's like UK versus US. This is the third time that I'm doing this and I think that it's really fun. For those of you who don't know, I am actually a graphic designer. I know I'm currently studying to become a teacher, but I actually already have a degree in graphic design. So some would say that I'm experienced in that field. I don't know, but I do have a lot of opinions on book covers. So I think without further ado, we should just get into it because I do have 10 different books to talk about. So that's 20 covers to cover. Let's start off with one of my new favorite books, which I have probably mentioned before because I read it earlier this year. It is Spice Road. Off the bat, this is an easy choice for me, but I will explain why, because it's not just the fact that the US cover has a lot of things that I don't like, but it's also the fact that the UK cover has a lot of things that I do like. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the US one. So, it looks a little bit too realistic to me. Like, the face on it, like, I can see that it is not a person, but it looks like it could be a person, you know? It's very realistically done. I also feel like it looks a little bit, I don't want to say cheap, but it doesn't look, I wouldn't pick it up based on the cover, let's say that. And the font. Ooh, do I have issues with the font. The font doesn't give me anything. The font, I don't feel like the font matches the book. And I can say that because I've actually read the book, and I don't feel like this font gives me any indication of what type of book it is. The only indication I get is because of the clothing that the character on the cover is wearing. I also feel like I am not remembering the book correctly because I don't remember there being any magic kind of things with her hands. So I feel like that's a little bit of a misconception because I don't think that actually happens. Or maybe I just didn't notice. Like, I know she has like an affinity for metal or something, like she can do something with her blade, but I don't think that is what this gives me. So not only is it like it looks to be, I don't want to say it like this, but like an easy way out to do a cover. Like, you have a character of a certain ethnicity or from a certain part of the country or from a country that is inspired by this and that. So you go with a character that looks like they could be from that place. And then you add a bit of pizzazz because it is like a fantasy book. So you add some magical elements and then slap on a font and call it a day. That is what that cover gives me. It doesn't give me that much afterthought. However, the UK cover, that doesn't give me much about the story. But it does give me a lot about the setting. I know that the other one does as well, but this one even more so. And also the fact that we do actually see like a road or a path, which I feel like makes a lot of sense with the title. The font makes a lot more sense as well. I feel like it fits not only the vibe of the book, but also the cover very well. I like the doorway kind of thing, or the, I don't actually know what it's called, but like, you know? I also like the pattern around it, and I do like see a nod to her blade in there. And then also on the other side to what I would call like a teapot kind of thing, which makes sense because the magic in this book stems from the tea that they brew. So it makes sense to me that is what it looks like. So for the first one, I'm gonna give it to the UK. Next up, we have The Hate U Give. I am not 100% sure that I have placed these correctly, but I do believe that this is how it goes. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I don't have that many comments to this. I feel like the US one is a work of art, and I feel like the UK one is similarly to the US one before. It's just a fast way to make a cover. it's the exact same thing. The other one, I feel like, even though it's so simple, I just love that style of like a cartoonish kind of person on the cover, and it just, the simplicity of it is what I like. So that was a point for the US. This one, I am also in doubt if I have placed them correctly. So if I am wrong, let me know. I did my best to research this, but I feel like it's a little bit difficult to figure out. On the US side, we have a very pink-ish cover for Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Sutanto. I have not read this book, so I don't know what the book is about, but so I'm going based off like first impression. And then on the UK side, we have this green yellowish kind of cover. I feel like the US one looks very cartoonish, like, well, not cartoonish, but like comic book-ish or graphic novel-ish, if you know what I mean. Probably comic book. I feel like the way that she is drawn, it gives me comic book vibes, and I also feel like it is very text heavy, like there is a lot of different fonts and different color of fonts, and I don't like it. I don't know what the red in Kill, I don't know what that's doing there, and then make the rest, like, either pick red or pick yellow, in my opinion, because there is 4 different font colors, and I know that there's 3 on the other one, but just in the title and the author name there is 4 different fonts on the US one, whereas title and author name there are 2 different fonts, or not fonts, color of fonts, that is what I meant. Well, there's also different fonts on this one, but I feel like the US one is very busy and I'm not a fan of it. And then when we look at the UK one, I really like the style of this, similarly to The Hate You Give. I like that it's very minimalistic, and that you like only get like the face shape. You don't really get any like detailing. It's very, I don't remember the word for it, but it's a trend. I don't know if it still is, but like this type of drawn characters on the front cover, I like it a lot. And this one actually makes me want to read this book because those aunties in the back, they look awesome. And yeah. So I'm gonna go UK with this one. I remember when I first found this book, or when I first heard of it, I was like, oh my god, the US cover is so stunning. But when I look at it now, I don't really like either of them. So there's that. I feel like the US one, I like the moth on it, and I'm sure that the moth has like a meaning because there's also moths on the other one, but I feel like there's a lot of text. I am not the biggest fan of the font for the title, but I do feel like it fits the vibe of the cover. Unfortunately, there's a sticker on this one that I found, but I'm just gonna kind of ignore all stickers because they ruin my life either way. Then we have the UK one, and I don't like it. I don't like the split in the middle. It looks like it's been ripped, which I'm guessing makes sense maybe if I had read the book. I don't like the off-centered blurb. I know that you couldn't place it in the middle because that would make it like, you know, but I don't really like that. I know that there's also an off-centered blurb on the other one, but I feel like this is way more in your face and I don't like it. I like the font a little bit more on this one, but I still don't feel like it fits. Like, I haven't read the book, but I feel like the other font fits the vibe that I'm getting from the book way better than this one, but the font in itself, I prefer the one on the UK one. I am gonna go US on Strange the Dreamer. Then we have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I feel like these books, like these 2 covers, they look nothing alike. Nothing whatsoever. Let's start with the US one. I'm not gonna lie, this one is already gonna win. Like, I can tell that. I can tell you that now, because this cover to me is just phenomenal. Like, we get, like, just from the first glance, we get like these 2 guys walking together. It's night, it's dark, and you see the city, and they're like all alone and isolated kind of, and they're just the 2 of them left in the world-ish. That's the vibe that you get. But the further you look at it, like, there's a skull in the night sky, and there's like death or the Grim Reaper in their shadows, and there's just these small details just does it for me, and I feel like it fits the vibe of the book and like what the book is actually about. Whereas with the UK one. I feel like it's way too colorful and happy considering the themes of the book and what it actually is and how much it destroyed me. I also feel like there's too much text and I don't see the point in the "this is Mateo, this is Rufus" at the top next to the two characters. I don't see the point to that little detail. I like the hourglass design, but I feel like the book gives me a different vibe than what it is actually about. And sometimes that can be a good thing, but in this case I just don't feel like it fits. So I'm going US on this one. Then we have Jade Fire Gold by June C.L. Tan. I have not read this yet, so this will just be based on the covers, 100%. So I don't like the font on the US one at all. I like the characters on there. However, they look very cartoonish. Like, it looks like it could be, well, not cartoonish. They look very game character-ish. Like, they look like they could be from a video game. And I don't like that because I don't like the whole 3D kind of characters on a cover. Like, they need to look drawn, and I don't feel like these do. I feel like they look animated or CGI made, if you know what I mean. And then I don't like the font. I do like the battle scene. I just feel like all of the mixing colors, like, I guess that it makes sense because Jade Fire Gold, there's some gold in the background and the sword or whatever she holds is jade color-ish. So it does make sense in that aspect. But then we have the other one, which is a blade down the middle, and then we have gold on one side with black font or color, black text, and on the other we have like an orangey kind of color with white. I like this better, but I don't like it. I feel like the font in itself is a little bit boring, but when you do this type of cover, I feel like it's fine with that much detail in the background. So I'm gonna go UK, but it's not because I like love it, because I don't. But I do prefer the UK to the US one on this. Next up we have City of Nightmares by Rebecca Schaeffer. I'll just tell you right away, I prefer the UK one, but I'm still going to talk about the US one first because. When I first saw it, I didn't like it at all. But now that I look at it, I actually do kind of like it, and the way that it's done. I feel like there's a little bit too much text. Like, there's this big blurb under the author name. I wish that wasn't there. Then I would have loved it. And then just put the font a little further down so that it would be a little centered. And then it would have been perfect in my eyes. It's very dark and gloomy, which makes sense considering the type of book and what it is about. And then we have all of these creatures around. We have a snake and a dragon, a rat and a raven and a bat, I think. And then the skeleton at the bottom, and then we are in a city. So it makes sense because all of these nightmarish creatures or creatures that people tend to be afraid of, and then we have the city, and in the back there is a spider web. It makes a lot of sense. The UK one, I like the font. I like the way that it's just a city, and then we see a pterodactyl, which doesn't make sense if you haven't read the book. It does make sense when you have read the book, because there is a mention of a pterodactyl in there. I like saying pterodactyl. It's a nice thing to say. It lies well in the mouth, like pterodactyl. Anyways, there's also a little bit of a spider web there, and then we have a lit up night sky and a big city. And when I saw this, I was like, oh no, urban fantasy, but it is not that. Well, kind of, but I like this type, so I am gonna go for the UK one for City of Nightmares. Alright, we have 3 books left. Once again, I'm a little bit in doubt whether or not I have placed this correctly. So, we have the Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and on the US one, we have this blue background with a lot of like windows, I kind of want to say, with stuff coming in or out of it. And on the other side, we have this night sky with a building on it where it's kind of lit up inside. If I were to pick between these covers which one would intrigue me more, I would pick the US one, which is also where I am placing the point in this round, because the US one do intrigue me more. I like the way that all of the text have the same color despite not having the same font. Normally I would like the title, if it's like on one line, I would like it to have the same font. An example where it doesn't, as you can see here, the Midnight are two different fonts. I don't mind it too much, but I can feel now that the more that I look at it, I start to mind it. But I also like that they put a novel in a book right below, but still in like one of the windows where things are coming in and out of. I do like that a lot. I have a feeling that I know what this book is about, but I still haven't read it. But I feel like that makes a lot of sense if the book is about what I think it is about. The UK one, it's fine. It's not like I don't like it. The font doesn't give me much, but it's there. I like that they made one of the dots over the eye like a star, so it fits with the night sky. I don't get the point of the house there, or the cat, but I guess that it will make sense when I read it, because there's also a cat on the other one, so I'm guessing that there might be like a cat in it. So for this one, I'm going with the US one. Next up, we have Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. Very different covers. From the US one, I'm getting very gothic vibes. Like, it looked like it could be like is it called a mosaic or something? I think it's called that. It looks like it could be that, or just like an old school. I talked about this in my Fairy Loot unboxing with the alternate cover that we got, that it had very Brothers Grimm vibes, like old school fairy tales. That is what this gives me. The other one doesn't give me anything. It gives me thorns, which makes sense based on the title. Blueberries, I think, and a bird, and a bottle, and some other items. There's also a heart with a knife or shards in it, and there's a snake. I feel like it's all over the place, and normally I like simpler covers where it doesn't give much away, but I don't like this. I feel like it's rushed, and I don't like the font. I don't feel like the font fits. I feel like it's too small, and that they were afraid to have the font overlap any of the design, if you know what I mean. So if you would have made it bigger, it would have overlapped, but it would have looked better, in my opinion. I feel like there's not that big of a difference between the font and the blurb at the top. I know that there is a difference on the size, obviously, but I feel like it's closer, so it doesn't look finished to me. Whereas the US one, I absolutely love. I love this style. I don't think we see it a whole lot, but it's just top tier. So the point is going to the US. Final book. We have City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I don't like the US one. I once again feel like it looks a little bit rushed. I don't get the point of the fire. We see a city that is kind of done in gold at the bottom, which is fine. And we get this mandala thing, which kind of gives us an indicator of what part of the world this could be inspired by. But apart from that, I don't get anything from the book, and I don't like the person that is just there. Whereas with the other one, once again, we have this, is it called an arch? We have this arch similarly to Spice Road that kind of gives us an indicator, once again, as to where we are in the world. And in the arch, we, instead of having a road as we did with Spice Road, we do have like a building. So it doesn't give me much, but it is what it is. We also have a door, I believe. I like the font a lot more on the UK one. I feel like it fits, whereas the font on the US one, I feel like it's picked because they couldn't find another font. Sounds a little bit rough when I say it like that, but it's exactly what I mean. It just kind of looks like they didn't put a lot of thought into the font, whereas I feel like the font on the UK one fits a whole lot better. For the last book for this round, I am going UK. I, upon sitting here and filming, have no idea who won. I feel like I said UK more than I said US, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're tie, but I'm really not sure. Anyways, I am actually thinking of making another one of these because I know that a lot of people like to watch them. Me like talking about the covers and I like filming them. But I thought that it could be fun to do one that is like exclusively sequels. So maybe picking some of the books that I have already done and then doing the sequels to them, or just sequels in general, because I do also have a lot of opinion on those. So I might do that next time I'll do this. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment telling me if you agree. And which one of these 20 covers were your favorite? I know that that's a hard question, but I would like to know. If you just want to let me know that you're here but don't know what to comment, you can always leave a green heart. If you like this video, please hit the like icon, and if you want to see more of my bookish content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. And until I see you next time, bye!